Here are 5 entry-level roles for those starting out in cybersecurity. Keep in mind that there are a ton of domains that exist in this field, and you can always switch it up down the road if you do not like the domain that you're in. So my advice to you, if you are just starting out, is to find a domain that interests you right now, and then put your effort into that domain. This will help you gain the skills quicker to land your first entry-level role. Starting with the first one, SOC Analyst. One of the most popular and well-known entry-level cybersecurity role is a Tier 1 SOC Analyst. This is where you are in the front line or in the weeds or in the trenches, as people would call it, and work on triaging tickets in a queue, and then escalating them if you find something potentially suspicious. A Tier 1 analyst often works 24/7, 365, so you will likely have to work overnight hours and sometimes even on holidays. Depends on when your shift is scheduled. The second one is a Junior GRC Analyst. A Junior GRC or Governance, Risk, and Compliance Analyst is another entry-level role and one where you are not required to be as technical compared to, say, a SOC Analyst. GRC is usually more concerned with the regulatory side of things, ensuring that the company is compliant, whether they will pass their SOC 2 audit or PCI compliant, things of that nature. A Junior GRC Analyst can be responsible for performing risk assessments for new IT projects, identify areas or processes that could be potentially vulnerable, and recommend compensating controls to reduce the impact and overall risk of an organization. They will also be required to stay up to date on standards and relevant laws to ensure that the company remains compliant. The GRC role usually works regular hours from 9 to 5 and do not have to be on call. The third one is a Vulnerability Analyst. A vulnerability analyst will usually be in charge of installing and updating security software, testing systems for any potential vulnerabilities, and patching them. A vulnerability analyst role typically works the standard 9 to 5 hours, but will usually be required to work after hours or on weekends during standard or emergency patching cycles, so they do not disrupt business hours. Now, how often the patching cycle occurs typically depends on the organization's policy. The fourth one is Junior Pen Tester. Another entry-level role that you can consider is a Junior Pen Tester. You will be in charge of helping to improve the overall security of an organization by attempting to find and exploit any vulnerabilities within scope. You will essentially be an ethical hacker and perform a lot of similar activities an attacker might try to do. The hope here is that if you, as an ethical pen tester, catch any potential vulnerabilities and exploit them through your penetration testing, those vulnerabilities can then be patched before a threat actor has the chance to exploit them. A junior pen tester's hours will vary between project to project because in addition to finding and exploiting vulnerabilities, an organization might also want to test out their responsive capabilities. In cases like that, a pen tester might be asked to simulate, for example, a ransomware attack after hours and see how the rest of the company reacts. So there are times when a pen tester will have to operate outside of regular business hours. Fifth is a security administrator. They will typically be responsible for installing, administering, and troubleshooting an organization's security products such as an EDR, an endpoint detection and response solution. They will even have some help desk responsibilities such as setting up any new users and might even help out with investigating phishing instances. A security administrator typically works the regular 9 to 5 business hours, but will be required to be on call for emergencies depending on the organization. There are multiple entry-level roles that you can look into if you are just starting out in cybersecurity, and these are just a few examples. If you want to learn more about a specific role, leave it down in the comment section below and I'll be happy to try and provide more information. That is it for the video and I hope you found it informative. If you did, let me know by hitting that like button and subscribe if you want to. Remember to stay curious and do things differently.